Who would have guessed that by the mid-80s, every kid would know that name? It's a household name! Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario 2, Super Mario 3, Mario World, Mario Land, Dr. Mario, Mario Kart, Mario Party E, Mario the Juggler, Mario Tennis, Mario Golf, Mario Paint, Paper Mario, Mario and Wario, Mario Teaches Typing, Super Mario Sunshine, Mario vs. Donkey Kong, New Super Mario Wii, New Super Mario Wii U, New Super Luigi Wii U, Super Mario Galaxy 2, 3D Land, 3D World, Mario Odyssey. How many goddamn games can you make about an Italian plumber before you run out of ideas? Then there was the Super Mario Bros. Super Show. That's right, Mario got a TV show, 2 to be exact. The one in live action and animation with the live action scene starring Lou Albano and Danny Wells as Mario and Luigi, and the adventures of Super Mario Bros. 3, as if that game couldn't get big enough. How far could two brothers who own a plunging business go? When was the last time anyone saw Mario plumb anyway? That's what the next game ought to be. Mario bleaches your shower, Luigi snakes your crapper. When do we get Super Mario Plunger Brothers? Now that would be a hell of a game, with characters like the Poopa Troopas, the Kramer Brothers, and of course, the evil Shit King. He wants all the Mushroom Kingdom's toilets for himself. Jesus, that's enough of that. Let's go back to the first Mario game, Mario Brothers, by the up-and-coming Japanese video game company Nintendo, who recently started Nintendo of America, their American branch of the company famous for Donkey Kong, Wild Gunman, Space Firebird, the Color TV game series, and the Game & Watch games. I wonder what they'll do next. Released in arcades back in July 1983, it was Nintendo's 11th arcade game, or somewhere around that number. It was the first game to feature Mario, although technically he was in Donkey Kong, but in that game he was called Mr. Video or Jumpman, and the evil Mario in Donkey Kong Jr., but I already talked about the weirdness of that last time. In his first solo game, where is he? The sewers. He's a plumber, right? Apparently they're in the New York City sewers, but can anyone tell me where the New York sewer system has a POW block in it? Anyway, your goal is to knock enemies off these platforms and stomp on them, while also collecting coins. There's 4 enemies the brothers have to kill: the Shell Creeper, the Sidestepper, the Fighter Fly, and the Slip Ice, which turns platforms into slippery ice. Every one of these enemies has a special thing they do. The Shell Creeper is basically a Koopa that you have to hit from underneath. The Sidestepper is a crabby looking guy who takes 2 hits to kill. Fighter Flies are where it starts to get harder because they can bounce off the floor, which means you can only hit them every few seconds. The Slip Ice makes the platform slippery, which, if you didn't know by now, is about as hard as the game gets. If you take too long, they'll all gang up and kill you. Kill you real dead. As any Mario fan would guess, you can use the POW block to knock all the enemies out. Then they start to mix it up. You'll get some Shell Creepers and Sidesteppers with a lovely side of killer Fighter Flies, and for dessert, an icy helping of being 25 cents more poor when the Slip Ice comes along and kicks your ass into the water. The game is interesting, not only because of its vindictive characters, but its gameplay. Mario Brothers use what's called a wraparound screen, meaning a player can go off one side of the screen and reappear on the other. Here's an example of what I mean. There you go. I would say this is before it became common for games to have side-scrolling play, but this style of game design carried on into the NES era, and even the PlayStation had a few games that used it. It just refused to die, and I think there's some games that still use it today. I like the game is what I'm trying to say. I like it a lot. I think it's one of Nintendo's best arcade games, and I'm sure you will too. Our next game is Burger Time. You play as Pepper Pete, who has to make giant burgers while also fighting Mr. Egg, Mr. Pickle, and Mr. Sausage. I guess they couldn't call him Mr. Wiener. Why are those their names? I have no idea. The game doesn't have a backstory, so I'll make one up. It's the story of a chef named Pepper Pete, whose ingredients have gotten tired of being used for only breakfast and dinner. We want to be the main course, and stubborn old douchebag Pete refuses, so the whole damn kitchen is out to kill him. Pepper Pete's main weapon is pepper. Fitting, but why did he grab a seasoning? If it were me, I would have grabbed something a little more, I don't know, deadly? Get a flamethrower up in there. Maybe something more exotic, like Paprika Pete or Cajun Pete? Doesn't he season his food normally? Maybe since the seasoning is used for cooking them, then that means it's like poison? Maybe I'm overthinking this, but someone's gotta take some initiative around here, and I put the line at no explanation at all. Granted, a lot of games at the time didn't give a backstory. It was all about the gameplay, attraction value, and how much money the damn thing would make. Unlike old adventure games like Zork or table games like Dungeons & Dragons, where the storyline is everything. With no storyline, they could just make whatever the hell they want. And that's the point. Can anyone tell me the backstory to this game? It's called Food Fight. It was released by Atari and was in arcades and on the 2600. Eat ice cream and you throw food at chefs. That's it. Any complicated plots or characters? I don't think so. It's simple fun. Why aren't more games today like this? Look at Pac-Man, the most successful video game of all time. And the only thing we know are the ghost names. Inky, Blinky, Pinky, and Clyde. You eat all the dots and try not to die. That's it. Pretty simple. The only thing about Food Fight is the chefs' names. Angelo, Jacques, Oscar, and Zorba? What the hell? Zorba? Sounds like Gozer's sister. Even with the occasional oddness, I have an appreciation for games like these. You can just go and play them. No complicated knowledge or setup required. And that's why Burger Time is so rad. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time once again for the GameDen's favorite pastime, Rate That Game! This time we're taking a look at Galaga. I previously reviewed Galaxian, the predecessor to Galaga, made to compete with Space Invaders, one of my favorite arcade games. So, 2 years later, Namco said, hey, remember Galaxian? That was a good game. Let's make another. So they did. Galaga was released in December 1981, the same year as Miss Pac-Man, also by Namco, which is why they share Namco's Class of 1981 machine you'll see so often. In this installment, you control the Gyaraga, the successor to the Galaxip from Galaxian, which kind of looked like a penis. Man, a lot of penis jokes in this episode. Anyway, this time the ship's a bomber, so you have an ammo bar as well as a life bar. Galaga is like Galaxian 2.0. It has better graphics, sound effects, and it's just better. I love both, but I'll have to favor Galaga on this one. It sold around 40,000 units, 10,000 less than Galaxian, but I bet more people have played Galaga. It's also snuck its way into movies. It was in The Karate Kid, The Avengers, and War Games starring Matthew Broderick and Ali Sheedy. And if it's been Broderick approved, then you know that it's very choice, and definitely worth your time. I'll give it 4.5 out of 5 Gyaragas. Well, this is the last part of my 3-part arcade miniseries, Video Fever. Honestly, I'd never run out of arcade games. Not within 3 parts anyway. They just didn't stop. Their plots kept getting crazier and crazier, new innovations kept coming, and they just kept getting made. Even during the decline of arcades. Hell, I could make one, right? Why not? I guess I can't properly end this series without talking about the most notorious video game of all time, Polybius. Polybius is said to have been released in the early 80s, around 81. People who have claimed to have seen or played the game said it was similar to Tempest, early color vector graphics, and say the cabinet was black with no real side art and a basic marquee with a simple joystick and fire button. This limited description has made the game nearly impossible to identify. If they said, yeah, it was neon green with 62 buttons on it and a purple baby donkey on the front, then maybe you'd have a case. Theorists have also claimed that Polybius was a secret government program, testing mind control on the unsuspecting American public. This is because people who said they saw the game said that CIA-like Men in Black type characters came and took the game. There were also a lot of reports at the time of people getting sick while playing games for too long, which is just common sense. What do I think? Well, you would have to have been in Portland, Oregon area during the early 80s, in the undisclosed arcade that it was first tested in, and have a pretty good recollection of one little game in a sea of way more popular ones from over 35 years ago. The story makes itself a near improbability. It's a classic case of having to be in the right place at the right time. It's just such a small group of people that could know for sure. Over the years since the myth has risen, logic says that it never really existed. It was even featured in an episode of The Angry Video Game Nerd, so it's probably just a hoax. But who doesn't love a good ghost hunt, am I right? I'll see you guys around.